William Johnson was an American painter working during the Harlem Renaissance. He moved to New York when he was 17 to study at the National Academy of Design. Let's take a look at some of these geometric versus organic shapes. You see, organic shapes are shapes that you might find in nature. They don't always have a name. Different flowers, different leaves, all have different shapes. They're not all the same. We call them organic. Look at some of these organic shapes that are created in these still life paintings by William Johnson. As you take a look at his work, it's inspiring us as we get started making our own still life. Let's start off by drawing the flowers. You'll notice I grabbed my ink dauber, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that the sponge is filled with ink and start drawing some really big flowers onto these pieces of scratch paper. There's lots of different ideas that you can utilize to create your flowers. Lots of different shapes. And as you looked at some of those paintings from the beginning, maybe you saw some interesting shapes of flowers that you would like to use in your painting as well. Now, once I've created some of my paintings of flowers or outlined those with my ink dauber, I'm also thinking about putting in some different colors just to make those flowers stand out just a bit more with bright colors. So I'm going to set that aside now to dry, and as that's drying, I'm also going to be creating a nice organic shape for the base, as well as some shapes that I can use as leaves. This is the basic starting point for my flower. Let's go ahead and move into making a vase shape for our flowers. So grabbing a piece of paper, whatever color that you want for your vase, create your vase shape. It doesn't have to look like my vase. Your vase might be a different shape, but this is a simple shape that might work. Again, I'm going to set that aside to dry. Then I grabbed another piece of paper and I'm going to create the table. So as I'm thinking about drawing a table, I'm going to begin with a diagonal line off to the side with another diagonal line on the other side of the paper. I'm going to use that black line again to make a nice black contrasting line with a horizontal line at the top. Again, this is going to be used for my table. Okay, so now that I'm going to set those aside to dry, let's go ahead and start cutting and assembling all these items together. You'll notice that I grabbed another background piece of paper. With my background piece of paper, go ahead, start cutting out and gluing down all of your interesting organic shapes to create your still life. You'll notice that sometimes I have to reapply glue, or sometimes I just turn the paper upside down to ensure a good glue to stick. So I'm going to go ahead and continue cutting out my shapes of my flowers and arranging them onto the paper. For fun, I thought it might be kind of cool to add in some oil pastel if your colors seem like they're too flat and you want to add a little bit more pop of color. Oil pastels might work out really nicely as well when you start making your arrangements. It's kind of fun to be artistic and start deciding, where do I want to put these flowers? What arrangement or what composition looks the best to me? Lastly, I had some fun taking out those circles and using those shapes as well into my still life, again for that pop of color. Again, they seemed a little flat to me, so I just went ahead and grabbed some oil pastel and added a little bit more color into my flowers. Lastly, remember those leaf shapes that we created? I love using this as well to extend off the edge of the paper and give it a little bit more dimension into my work. So I'm just going to tuck those where I feel like they look the best. Lastly, you want to make it look like your vase is 3D or make it look like it's shiny? Glue down a rectangular piece of paper, add a few lines, and now it looks like it's kind of gleaming with light. Thanks for watching, boys and girls. Happy art making!